What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. I posted on my Twitter about a week ago that I was going to be bringing you some old world content. In this farm, we're actually going to be exploring a similar shuffle to our Tidespray one, but it's going to be using the Legion shal'dorei silk. I hope I pronounced that correctly. A couple things I want to get off my chest real quick. Thank you so much for the support in my last video. It is by far my most viewed video, and it has the most comments that I've gotten so far yet. So for those of you who watch this, if you do find it useful, or even if you have criticism, please leave a comment down below. I do read each and every one of them, good or bad, and I try to respond, so it means a lot to me. Thank you again for the support. Without further ado, in this video we're going to be looking at the shal'dorei silk shuffle, and now this one I found really hard to look at auction house prices and try to judge, because I would think that for this one, being an old world farm, it might be easier to just go out and actually get the shal'dorei silk yourself, and that's because I find old world materials often have an inflated price, and I typically wasn't finding them at a reasonable price on the auction house to do the shuffle without farming. But lucky enough, this has a hyperspawn 2x4 that you can do for some just massive profits. So you know, compared to my other videos, some things I changed is I kept this to a true 1 hour time frame, so we didn't have to calculate the extra crafting time. So everything said and done, including crafting, this took me 1 hour to do, and we'll be able to go through the profits together. Now, a couple things you'll have to do beforehand. If you have never ventured into Legion, or you didn't play your tailor character during Legion, you're going to have to come to the Broken Isles in Dalaran, and you're going to come over here to the tailoring shop, and you're going to come to this lady, Tanithria? We're going to go with Tanithria, and you're going to start her quest line. Now, the first couple quests are really easy. They're crafting throughout the city, but as you move forward in it, it's going to be a lot of traveling back and forth, old world content. It'll probably take you about an hour to do the prerequisites for it, but in Legion, in order to unlock your tailoring patterns, what you had to do was do these little quest lines to unlock all your silk weave. Now, what we're going to be crafting are these silk weave pantaloons, because you can see, even though they're old world content, for whatever reason, the blue version that you craft sells more than the current Tidespray equivalents, even though the Tidesprays are only green. And then the epic proc chants for these silk weave pantaloons actually sell for 50 gold. So this is an incredibly profitable shuffle you can do with your materials. Your runic catgut and sharp spire thorn are sold simply right over here at the tailoring supplies lady, and they're not super expensive. Now, you'll see that I only actually have the rank 2. It's because it requires the Court of Farandis honored, and that is one of the old world reputations. I got really unlucky when I was making this video because the emissary quests were not up for the Court of Farandis, and there were not a lot of world quests at the time for me to do to grind this out. I will do an update later on with an increased profit guide after I've acquired the rank 3. But even at the rank 2, I made a pretty silly gold profit in this video for 1 hour's worth of farming. So the caveat is it's only going to get better if you take the extra time to do this. Now, once you've completed that and you have your rank 2 pantaloons, rank 3 preferably for those of you that do want to go out and have a lucky emissary quest or whatever and the time to go do it, you're going to actually go out and begin the 2x4 farm, which is really easy. Come over here to your map and go to Premades, Custom. All you have to do is type in 2x4, and you can see here Suramar farm 2x4, war mode on or off, it doesn't really matter. Now, if there's not one up, you need to make one yourself. It doesn't mean you can't go out and farm the silk on your own without the 2x4, but what it is going to mean is you're going to drastically reduce your profits. The reason I say that, one thing I found I made a lot of money from, actually a large unexpected chunk of money, was the actual drops. Because these are elite mobs in Suramar City, I actually made several thousand gold just off vendoring random items. So once you've completed everything, the area you're actually going to go to is going to be in Suramar. and it's going to be this little loop right here. This is where all the elites spawn, and that's where they're going to have the highest drop chance, and their hyper spawn is typically the area it's done in around the fountain. Now, some things to understand is when you're running these 2x4 groups, you do want 2 groups of 4 as the name implies. You actually can't have a 5th person, because once you have a 5th person, not everybody's going to be able to tag the mob. It'll actually gray out to some of the players, and then they won't be able to loot, so it's not really effective. Any class can do this. There are certain classes that are necessary and really better to have. This includes Boomkin Druids, obviously for their ability to click one button, and especially in lower level farming, just AoE all the mobs at a really great distance and pull them in closer. The one necessity you should have is actually going to be a monk for their statue in order to taunt everything in. The group I ran with didn't have that, but we actually had 3 druids, so it was a pretty constant stream of AoE, but I still think it could have been better if we'd have had a monk. The next thing you're going to need is some type of mammoth mount that has a vendor on it. Now, you don't have to specifically have it, but somebody in your group has to have it, and they have to have a way to leave combat, because since we're hyper spawning, there is very little time to actually mount up. You're going to want somebody with a mechanic or a toolkit that lets them leave combat and enter stealth, mage invisibility, shadow meld, whatever, and then you're going to want them to mount up. And the reason that is, as I said before, I was really surprised with the amount of items that dropped. So your bags will fill up pretty quickly. I believe mine filled up within 10 to 15 minutes each time, and I have all 30 slot plus bags, giving me an open bag space of anywhere from like 110 to 120. So it's pretty insane the stuff they drop. Something else I'd recommend would be using either Trade Skill Master coupled with Appraiser, or at least Trade Skill Master, because when the green BOEs drop, you're going to want to check them and see what their auction house value is, because there's no point in selling one to a vendor for 26, 27 gold. If it's a nice transmog piece, you can get 500 plus for on the auction house. And these drop so incredibly frequently, not necessarily 500 gold a pop, but the greens drop so much that you can, in a short session, get quite a bit of transmog to put on the auction house. Transmog sells very, very slowly, but if you've got anywhere from 500 to 1,000, 1,500 pieces on the auction house, 1 or 2 of those selling per day at 500 to 1,000 gold is a nice steady gold income, so I wouldn't recommend vendoring them for 26 gold. The other thing to keep in mind, there is shoulder enchants for Legion. The one in particular I looked into was the Boon of the Scavenging. I don't know how I feel about it. In my testing, the hour I spent doing this, I only actually had 2 of the Scavenge drop, which are little packs that contain shal'dorei silk. They contain anywhere from about 18 to 40. I got about 60 out of the 2 drops I got, but 2 drops in an hour, I don't know how necessary it was. It's just kind of a little cherry on the top to your farming if you want to add it. And I'll have a link pop up on the right hand side of your screen with that.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon. Won't stop fighting to the very end. Many men try to find me. I'll be back home soon.
Alright guys, so with everything said and done, we're going to kind of go over what I did and what my profits were. So my starting gold was 16,541 and 33 silver. Including my boon of the scavenging, I acquired 2,425 shal'dorei silk. Out of my crafting, my blue pants sold for 3,648.53 silver. I kept the epic pants in a different category so you could see the RNG procs and the profit that can be made from that. And I crafted 11 epic pants for a total value of 601 gold and 37 silver. On my vendored items and raw gold, I made about 8,027 gold and 51 silver. Now this number may be lower because what I did in this video, in order to showcase a raw minimum gold, so a very standard gold amount you will make at a minimum for an hour of your time invested, even if an item had a decent transmog value, I still vendored it just so I could show a guaranteed minimum. My cost input was 203 runic catgut, 101 sharp spirethorn, at a total cost of 144 gold and 50 silver. This is much lower than the BFA equivalent for the Tide Spray pants because you require less materials bought from the vendor per pants crafted, so that's very nice to not have to input extra gold. It took me an hour and 3 minutes, so I kept it true to my word. The 3 minutes was just extra crafting time I used, but I wanted to keep things concise, so I included it. And this led to an 11,779 and 52 silver gold per hour. That is incredible. I think going forward in the future, because I am so worn out on BFA content, this will be my gold form of choice when I'm bored. I love the gold per hour profit, and I love the fact that if I do get some transmog items, I have the potential to get quite a bit more, honestly, anywhere between 20 and 30,000 gold per hour. So I think going forward, this is definitely something that people should be looking into, and it's something that's very easy, and it requires a very low gear level comparatively to like freehold farming, so on and so forth, etc. But at the end of the day, variety in gold farming is what's going to allow you to keep doing this consistently and eventually reach that epic long boy mount. Some things to take note of is I did only do this with the rank 2 of the craftable pants. I will post an update in the future when I do get the rank 3 to see if it's really that much of a gold profit increase for time invested. I think getting to Honored can take anywhere from 1 to 2 hours of doing quests, as well as if the emissary is up with world quests, but we may be able to see a decent profit increase for the less materials required to craft in the pants, though I can't imagine it would be dramatic. Well, without further ado, I really hope you guys enjoy the video and be on the lookout for my next guide. Thanks.